Optical illusions are visual phenomena that deceive the brain's interpretation of visual information, causing viewers to perceive something that is not present or to misinterpret the true nature of an object or scene. The science behind optical illusions involves the complex interplay between the visual system, brain processes, and the way our eyes perceive and interpret visual stimuli. Here are some key aspects of the science behind optical illusions. 1. Perception and the visual system. The human visual system is a sophisticated network of eyes, optic nerves, and brain regions that work together to interpret visual stimuli. Perception involves the brain's interpretation of visual information received from the eyes. Optical illusions exploit the inherent limitations and characteristics of the visual system to create perceptual distortions. 2. Gestalt principles. Gestalt psychology proposes a set of principles that describe how humans perceive and organize visual elements into meaningful wholes. These principles include figure-ground relationship, the tendency to perceive objects as distinct from their background; closure, the tendency to complete incomplete figures or shapes; proximity, the tendency to group objects that are close to each other; similarity, the tendency to group similar objects together; continuity, the tendency to perceive continuous patterns. 3. Depth perception. Depth perception allows us to perceive the three-dimensional structure of objects and their spatial relationships. Optical illusions often manipulate cues related to depth, such as perspective, shading, and overlap, to create deceptive effects. 4. Contrast and color perception. Optical illusions can exploit the way the visual system processes contrasts and colors. For example, contrasting colors and patterns can create illusions of movement, distortion, or ambiguous shapes. 5. Cognitive processes. Cognitive processes, including memory, attention, and expectation, play a role in how optical illusions are perceived. Pre-existing knowledge, assumptions, and expectations can influence how the brain interprets visual stimuli. 6. Ambiguity and reversible figures. Some optical illusions involve ambiguous figures that can be interpreted in multiple ways. Reversible figures, where the perception alternates between two possible interpretations, highlight the brain's flexibility in interpreting visual stimuli. 7. Neural processing. Neural processing in the brain involves the interpretation of visual information by specialized regions such as the primary visual cortex. Optical illusions can involve the manipulation of neural processing, leading to misinterpretations or conflicting signals. 8. Size and perspective distortions. Optical illusions often manipulate size and perspective to create distortions. For example, the Ponzo illusion involves two identical lines placed in a context that makes one line appear longer than the other. 9. Illusory motion. Illusions of motion can be created by manipulating patterns, colors, or contrasts. Static images can give the perception of movement or vibration. 10. Cultural and individual differences. Cultural and individual factors can influence how people perceive optical illusions. Cultural experiences and visual training can affect the way individuals interpret certain illusions. Understanding the science behind optical illusions provides insights into the complexities of visual perception and the brain's ability to construct a coherent and meaningful representation of the visual world. Optical illusions continue to be a fascinating area of study that bridges psychology, neuroscience, and visual arts.